Got to adjust the camera a little, folks. Happy holidays. Haven't done a live chat in I don't know, a couple weeks, couple maybe a month. All right. So first off, welcome to Fat Cat Collections. Today, just gonna do kind of a I don't know, a little bit of a different type of video, kind of just to I don't know, just like I said, been a while, so I've done a little bit of a live feed here, and just wanted to do a comment reading section. And forgive me in advance, I cut the heck out of my tongue last night eating potato chips, and yeah, it really hurts. So that's why I'm talking a little funny. So just kind of bear with me on this. So today, like I said, I'm going to read. I don't think I've ever done a type of video like this. I've done like video responses before, but I'm just always amazed at one, the amazing comments that I get on this channel. Just so you guys know a little bit of my analytics, I get about 60 to 70,000 views per month. Most recently, YouTube had stated that this is my channel's birthday. I didn't know that, but they said, "Hurrah! It's your channel's birthday." And it says that I've been doing this for 4 years, but I've been doing this over 10. So I don't know what they're talking about, but no clue. However, like I said, I just wanted to get on here and just kind of do something a little bit different and do a comment reading session. Just because, again, and I want to thank you guys for all the wonderful comments. There's lots of really great, supportive people in this world. And frankly, it doesn't matter if like everybody commented that they hate my guts. It just really wouldn't stop me from doing what I do. This is a business. It makes me money. I get to work with different brands. That's the main reason why anybody does a YouTube channel. Anybody who tells you differently about wanting to help people, it's all monetary. There is no reason to invest tons of your time into something that isn't going to make you money. Now there are people out there absolutely who do things based on passion, who do really. I guess there are people who will really want to help the world, and those are different. Those are not product review channels. You know what I mean? So just kind of keep that in mind when you're watching YouTube. I wanted to do this in addition because this morning I saw this YouTube video, just recommended with the YouTube algorithm. It was about like this lady who she put up this stupid short about how she's getting canceled because she had some kind of gang affiliated tattoo. Huge channel, like I mean, this is a bread and butter, probably making 30 G's a month, right? And it's just really funny, just crying and whining about it. It doesn't a reminder about what a bunch of whiners we have in this world. And her channel is basically about helping men, right? And men, I guess men feel demasculated. I don't know. As grown men, I'm not going to make this video about men and how men should feel, but really, and this should be about how people should feel in general. It's if you are, and I can only speak for men, for me, right? If you feel demasculated, there's something else going on in your life, right? If you can't, people like to blame other people for how they feel. If you feel like you are like being put down for being a man, or I don't know, I don't feel those things, right? I don't really give a shit what people think. So if there is, and I feel like a lot of times men feel this way because they maybe have a problem like dating women or meeting women. I feel like a lot of that stems, a lot of these issues guys have stem from like the acceptance of women. And frankly, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I think you will attract women more, and this is, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but you will attract women more if you just are yourself and be confident in who you are as a person, right? There's not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna find me attractive. Some people are gonna find me. I met girls that years like, oh, they couldn't take their eyes off me, and that's how they would come into one of my jobs like every single week to see me. And other girls who absolutely hated my guts and then grew to love me. You just can't like just make an overgeneralized statement on what's going to work or what's not going to work. What's most important is how you feel about yourself, how you feel inside, and how you conduct your behavior, and ultimately do things that make you happy. And there is somebody out there, I don't want to make this video about this, about dating or anything like that, but everybody, for the most part, there's always somebody out there. If you're a decent person, like there's somebody out there for you. And sometimes in this technological age, people do less talking, as I'm talking to nobody. People do less talking, and I think a lot of times men are, I think no matter who you are, right? I mean, practice makes perfect at anything. And if you're a guy who's not used to approaching women, and I'm not telling you I am, anytime I've ever, most of the time I've got approached, but every girlfriend ever got for the most part, had like mentioned something to a friend, hey, this girl's interested in you, and or I kind of met them at work and kind of built sort of like a friendship that blossomed into a relationship. Other times, a girl will just come and be like, hey, can I give you my number? And kind of opens the door. I do think it's easier for women to approach a man. It kind of like gives the man a little bit more confidence to kind of move forward. Because let's face it, people nowadays, I don't, and not just women, but people in general are just staring at their phone all day long. Even couples who may very much like each other or love each other go to a restaurant and they stare at the phones and they don't really talk and converse. And I think it's just I'm not going to say whether it's a problem in society. It's just, and I'm not even going to say it's a problem for me because I'm a pretty private person. I don't go out of my way to really talk to many people, but but I'm not the one complaining about like where I'm at in life. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times guys want to blame women for why they can't find a woman. It's a numbers game. If you approach enough women, like you're gonna have some say yes. And it doesn't mean you have to be. You may go up to a woman and be like, hey, I think honesty is the best policy. If you see a woman you like, be like, hey, let's say it's somebody in your local store. If you're motivated enough and you want that person in your life enough, you're never gonna know unless you try. And so if you go up to that woman, just be like, hey, you don't have to like hold some pickup line. You're like, hey, I've been coming in for a while. I find you very attractive. There's something about you. I'd like to get to know you further. Are you single? You are great. Is it okay if I take you out for dinner? I don't know. Coffee's kind of like, I like to go all in. Let's go to dinner. This is going to be a romantic date, right? I'm trying to court you. I want you to know I'm trying to court you. I'm not trying to slip on in there. Let's have coffee and be friends first. Like, no. And the woman can make that decision very quickly. And the downside to that is you may not have the opportunity. She may take that as a romantic gesture, and maybe she's not 100% interested right off the bat. I've had worked with girls over the years where I had to ask them like 5 times, be like, "Hey, when we going out? When we gonna kick it?" And eventually they would say yes and give me a chance. And sometimes it was instant, and some, I'm not the professional Mac here, right? But I just think that some of these channels, about they capitalize off, not just men, but they capitalize off people's misfortune and people's, I guess, mental health. And there's no guru out there who has all the answers for you. There's best practices. Don't yell and scream. Try to keep calm. There's lots of things out there that you can do to increase your chances of being attractive. Again, using the eye beholder, but how you carry yourself. How you carry yourself with your confidence. What you're doing. Are you working out? Are you doing things to better yourself? Or do you care about your appearance? Do you care about the way your house looks? How do you treat your car? All these things come across a certain way to a woman. And let's face it, ultimately, lots of women take care of themselves, absolutely, are the breadwinners, all that stuff. But nobody wants to feel like they're the one doing all the work, right? So anyway, that's my tangent on that. But with all this stuff going on in the world, I get comments a lot of times that just have nothing to do. And again, I'm not to go off on a tangent. My channel's not about helping men or you gotta help yourself. And I don't believe in channels like that. But if you're making money doing it and people are willing to absorb that, then more power to you. There's a sucker born every minute. But for me, I am a product reviewer and I'm going to go now. We have 0 people in here, but I'm hoping you guys might catch it on the rerun. And we'll see whether it does good or not. I think it'd be kind of fun just to read some of these channels or some of these comments and my responses. So I'm just going to go right into I'm not going to read them all, but again, going to answer some questions. And this actually came up because, I think one of my subscribers or viewers said you should do a question and answer, because I didn't provide the movement, of this specific watch in the video because I didn't have the information. And I mentioned that in the video, but he decided to critique me and tell me that I should get the information. So I got the information. Let's see if he fucking buys it. So, all right. So, starting off, I'm not going to, name any names here. Well, I'll just kind of, all right. So orange, yellow said, did Invicta have some cheap tourbillons? Some of these might be related to guns, whatever. Somebody comments, right? So this guy just said, did Invicta have some cheap tourbillons? And I don't like to use the word cheap because That's all relative, but I think $1,000 is a lot, right? I think $500 is a lot. It depends on your budget, but when we think cheap tourbillons tend to be in the thousands of dollars. So I think cheap in the watch world would be like $8 to $1,000. And I think Invicta did have a couple tourbillons in the $8 to $1,000 price range. So, but I wouldn't call them. I guess he did say cheaper in his defense. So, all right. So yes, they did at one point, but I don't think they. Affordable watch companies, I think a lot of times don't spend a lot of money on making tourbillons because now you're taking an affordable watch and making it less affordable. Ultimately it's still the same quality, same watch, right? So Invicta, I don't think does a lot of that. I think Invicta's sweet spot is kind of like in that, $100 to $400 price range, my opinion. All right, another guy says she Kumatiki 7894. He said, I really like your presentation. Oh, this is the comment. You really like your presentation style and your energy. Keep on going. I would love if you add some additional information, maybe contacting the producer to get details on movement or other technical specifications like power reserve. This would add even more value to your video. So again, this is the kind of the comment that critique me. So the whole video, I'm talking about the specifications of a watch, like I do in every single video that I do. Watch, smart home tech. I give you guys the most information I can with the information I have. I specifically mentioned my check boxes about watches and what kind of movement is in this watch, and I didn't know. This is on the Cadola Intrepid Tangerine. You would think comments have to tell you if I mentioned in the video I don't have the information, he's telling me to go get the information. Now, my response is, are you going to buy it, or are you just a window shopper asking me to waste my time finding out this information for you? You want to know the power reserve. Pointless question, because the power reserve on most watches that are automatic out there are going to be 42 to 48 hours. So, I mean, had this guy just Googled something really quick, why are you asking somebody? I think time is money. And I think when you're asking somebody to do something for you, it should be something that you can't do yourself, right? Don't be fucking lazy. JRS, welcome, my man. He just said, watch check. Absolutely. Jay just got this shipped to me. Wearing a little Duxo, some kind of Rolex homage. I don't know which model. Maybe presidential. Done with, this is awesome. Done with green gemstones or glass. I'm not sure what those are. They might be gemstones. I haven't really researched this too much yet. There's some kind of green crystal bezel. Very cool. Love it. Hang on, bear with me here. I mentioned earlier in the video, I bit the hell out of my tongue, and it really hurts. So that's why I'm kind of talking a little funny. So bear with me, folks. You guys will be seeing this on an upcoming review. I also have this done in like a light lavender and baby blue stone variation. Duxo makes some awesome Rolex homage watches, and they are one of the few companies that make a high quality watch with crystals. So absolutely love the brand. All right, moving on. All right, so next comment. Don Fisher, he said, I had several Invictas with polybands, and now they fell apart as they sit in my safe. Good on you for putting your stuff in a safe. Replacements are too expensive. I just threw them away. Well, my man, I'm sorry that you had that experience with the Invicta brand. Two, if you're going to throw a watch away, I doubt you did that. But if you did, you're going to do that again, contact me, because I'll take them off your hand and find some kind of strap for them. I've mentioned it in every video. Not every video, but anytime I talk about a rubber or poly strapped watch, I prefer to go with bracelet. Now, I do review a lot of Nubeo watches because they make a lot of watches on silicone or rubber. Time will tell on how long those last. I have not had that experience that this guy's had with an Invicta, but I did have it with a Sterling watch. I'm not sure if it was rubber or silicone or some kind of strap rubber-like material in my safe, and never even wore the watch, maybe once, and it totally crumbled. So this is kind of why if I'm spending my own money on stuff, I will tend to stay clear of the rubber or poly straps. Polyurethane, rubber, silicone, isoframe. I do have an Aquadive watch on isoframe that looks just like rubber. They all look the same. And that thing's like, I don't know, 7 years old. Awesome. So I think isoframe is a superior material to rubber and silicone and polyurethane. But I'm sorry you had that problem. All I can tell you is that's not an indication of the brand's quality. This does happen. So, but I have an Invicta on rubber that is over 7 years old too, and it's fine. So, not sure there. All right, so this guy, this knucklehead, listen to this crap. This is on a very inexpensive AliExpress watch I bought. It was a Biden watch. It's called Biden. The Chinese, you like, they have different names. And this is just like a black watch with a black and red crystal bezel. It was like $25, like super cheap. When you get the watch, I said it in the video, it feels like a tinny watch. It's a very inexpensive quartz basic watch. I just bought it because I wanted a black and red bezel, and why not? It's fun. This guy got really upset about this. He says he called me a moron. He says, or you're either a moron or you've been sponsored. Even though in the video I state the quality of the watch, state that I bought the watch, now suddenly, like, how much can you make on a $24 watch? Fucking idiot. All right. So anyway, Michael Forsberg, just an imbecile. I was the fool to buy these piece of shit watches. I had two. They literally fall apart on your. I'm gonna leave out on your fucking wrist after a few weeks. Okay, I'm sure that a metal watch with push pins did not fall apart on your wrist. This guy, this is where people just kind of twist and bang the truth to support their own argument. But let's just pretend for a second they did. I still have mine. I haven't worn it that much, but it's not falling apart on my wrist. It still works fine. Granted, I've only worn it a few times, but he just says the fact that I do a decent job, well, thank you, trying to actually promote this bullshit product. Maybe never in a million years want to take you seriously again. Well, that's again, it's amazing to me somebody can watch one video, have one bad experience, and blame me for it, right? My Biden watch works fine, right? I'm not sure what this guy's doing. Maybe beating off wearing the watch. I don't know. Maybe he's doing the knuckle shuffle too. I don't know what the guy's doing to have two watches fall apart on his wrist. I have watches that cost $10. I've never done that. So, but let's just say he's got really bad luck with the watches, right? Fine, that's fine, whatever. Then, as a grown man, what kind of grown man is whining about a $25 watch, going onto YouTube and then like attacking the guy reviewing the watch he bought that he likes, is having good luck with, and blames me. He says, you'll never watch my content again, and I'm either sponsored by Biden watches or I'm an idiot. So I mean, to me, all I can really assume is that this guy doesn't have much going on in his life. That either is really poor, and that might be a factor. Like maybe spending $24 on a watch was all he could spend, right? And that's all. I'm not insulting here. Maybe that's all he had, and this really hurt his pocketbook having this watch break. But it sounds to me like he bought one and then he bought another. Maybe he bought them both at the same time. We don't have that information, but to me, I just can't imagine. I've had bad luck with stuff, right? We had a Vizio TV. I love Vizio products. I'd buy them again. My parents had one. It failed. Ashley sofa, leather peeled right off there. I did a video on it, right? And that's unfortunate. My complaint, my gripe, didn't go to some random dude on YouTube like reviewing Ashley furniture, because I had Ashley here and I have Ashley downstairs, and it's fantastic. So bad luck with the leather. Probably wouldn't buy a leather sofa from Ashley again. I'd maybe do a little more research. I didn't really care too much because I got the stuff at cost and I worked for a few furniture store back in the day, right? So not a big deal. But it'd be like me going to some guy who's happy about his Ashley furniture, or or like Vizio TV and being like, oh, you're an idiot because I bought. I don't know if he watched my video and bought the watch or what. He's obviously mad at me, but absolutely ridiculous. This is the world we live in. A bunch of whiny little bitches who blame other people. Like, you're a real man. You bought a watch. It broke. Don't buy it again. Move on with your life, you loser. All right, so on to the next. Let me keep going here. We don't waste too much time on this clown. All right, ADZ456. He says, lovely watch. I bought the Patriot Blue. This is on Spinnaker Hull. Fantastic watch, gold trim. I find it a little heavy on the wrist for a 42, but quality looks great. Toughen up, my man. Toughen up. 42 millimeters, such a small watch. Go throw this RGMT on your wrist. 54 millimeter. I could see you being like, this is a little heavy. A 42 millimeter, I can only say, dude, you're a little sensitive. Wear it. Eventually, you won't even notice it's there. But we're all different. We all have feelings. And so, but regardless, man, I appreciate him dropping a comment on the video. It is a lovely watch. I hope that he gets used to the watch. I think he will, right? All right, so next one here, Junior Michael's parent, 6372. He just said, love your vids. I love Invicta too. They're good watch for the money. We all know that. Thank you, brother. They are an amazing brand. Are they better than Aragon? No. Is Aragon better than Invicta? No. There's always going to be little differences across watch brands. Some people might say, "Hey, I prefer this clasp on this one. It's a milled clasp as opposed to a stamp," and that's okay. But it doesn't make one watch like superior to other. I hear it all the time. I will start buying Aragon because they're superior to Invicta. Nonsense, absolute bullshit. I have them all. There's no difference. If you go with like a very entry level Invicta, $50, $60, and that's not always, you need a pro diver, something like $60, which is a different level than those watches. But like, if you compare that to an Aragon Halo Angel watch, that's a dog shit watch. Like, I mean, that's I shouldn't say dog shit. It's a inferior quality watch compared to an Invicta Pro Diver. And there's pro divers and there's pro divers. So again, you got to take each watch as they come. Try to do your research and kind of learn as you go. Remember, try to buy from places that have a good return policy. Like that's why Amazon's great. Invicta Stores is great. Um, you know, most watches are pretty similar. All right, so Majestic Keys Gaming. He said, "While I usually hate people trashing on budget brands and compare to the luxury brands, I'm very glad I didn't buy Invicta Pro Diver. Instead, I purchased a deep blue. This is one I really got tore into. Deep blue diver that's finished beautifully with a 300-meter of water resistance and a Seiko movement and a sapphire crystal. It was barely more than a Invicta Pro Diver. For a teeny bit more, you could also buy a Seiko Orient, which you'd be so much happier with. Invicta watches objectively look like crap. To each their own, but there are design principles to make for good and bad looking watches. It's not a superior thing as you say in the video. It's simply about acknowledging that you do get what you pay for. Why waste $100 on a subpar watch when you can get a great watch for $150, $200? It'll last you 5 times as long. So I just find it really interesting when people mention the word objective while stating an opinion. It's the opposite of objective, right? So let me just read you I had a big response to this because comments like this are kind of the ones that like kind of they make me a little angry because this guy's trying to come across as like, hey, he's a really nice guy, but he's really shitting on the Invicta brand in a nice way. And everything he said there is absolute bullshit. It's completely opinionated. It's subjective. So this is what I said in response to that comment, right? Remember, he mentioned here that spending 150 to 200, a random number, will last you 5 times longer, the watch quality, which I can repeat that because I have Invictas that are like close to 8 years old now. They still work perfectly, which can be said for all my watches, but we're talking about Invicta. Why waste $100 on a subpar watch? He's making the statement that it's subpar when he didn't even buy one, right? And then, of course, they objectively look like crap. How can you objectively state they look like crap? That's a subjective opinion. So I said your claims need a serious reality check. Objectively stating that Invicta look like crap is a baseless opinion, not a fact. Preferences vary, and what you find distasteful might be someone else's treasure. Your admiration for deep blue watches is pretty subjective. I got a collection boasting of over 300 watches, many of which cost a fraction of high-end pieces, yet the finishing are just as impressive, if not more so. Your limited perspective doesn't define the entire watch market. Your assumption that people will be much happier with the Seiko Orient is unfounded and arrogant, which it is. Individual tastes differ, and my extensive collection, unlike yours, provides concrete evidence of the diverse preferences out there and the quality. The worn out saying you get what you pay for doesn't hold water. My Invictas, some over 7 years old, are still going strong. They look pristine, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I talk about the 5 times longer claim. I mean, it's like just pull that. Hang on, I got to pull it right out of my there's the 5 times longer statement. It's like, dude, like what the fuck? Where are these people's brains, right? Anyway, the fact that you like deep blue, great. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but this is completely false statements about the Invicta brand. Throw it out in the trash can. Nonsense. All right, next another one here. All right, so this one here in my Aragon, which one? Millipede video. Check the time here. Aragon Millipede video. I wanted to test some thumbnails, so I did. It's like a kind of a bright blue face millipede. I put a picture of this gal, very well endowed, in a bikini, right? For those who don't know, that's Danielle Derrick. She is a porn star. You can find her on Google. That's who that is. He says, it's a trap. Where's the pretty woman? I'm with you, man. I wish that pretty woman was in the video as well. Probably wouldn't be making the video. But anyway, different kind of video. Anyway, next comment. 445. I that exact same camera in your hand. This is about the Amazon Mini Spy camera. A very repetitive comment on this is that like the instruction manual is terrible, and it is because it's from China and they didn't have it translated very well. This is a $19 watch, or I'm sorry, camera. I don't know. 19 bucks. You gotta expect that it's coming from China. Most things are. You gotta expect that you might have that language barrier in the manual. If you don't like it, Amazon, return it. Don't get on YouTube and complain to me about it. It's only two buttons on it. Figure it out. All right. Another guy said, this is about my craft holster. If you haven't checked out craft holsters, they make amazing leather holsters. I did a review on the paddle holster. And he says, I thought this was about a holster and not a gun. I don't know what he's talking about. I probably, when these videos are unscripted, I talk like we're shooting the shit. When you're hanging out with your buddy talking about a holster and he starts, the conversation kind of changes and goes, do you be like, oh, I thought you were helping me with my holster? It's like, dude, shut up. So anyway, my response, don't watch. Nobody's forcing any of you 5 people only to watch this video. All right. Another guy said, Junior Michael just said, that's a cool watch. I purchased my 4th Invicta last week. Very good. Another guy here, this is R. Jung Opal 99. He said, thank you for the review. This one's in regards to an audio control high level to low level converter. They sponsored the video, sent me one of their LC1s, or I'm sorry, the LC1 or LC2. I think it's the LC1 in this case. He says he has a iGoing head unit with a weak preamp RCA outputs. One, I'd like to know how you determine that. The only way to determine the voltage of a pre-out is by using a oscilloscope and running a test tone and seeing what the voltage is when the deck actually clips or distorts. When you start seeing the wave turn into a square standing wave, that's when you know that's the maximum clean output power of the deck, and that should correlate with a specific voltage. Most better quality decks, like by name brand, reputable band, Sony, Pioneer, Alpine, are going to give you that 2-volt to 4-volt output. Usually it's going to be a clean output signal. I got added this device because these Android decks you get off Amazon and eBay, they're cheap, they're affordable, they're cool. They got the screen and they're unique. They're a fraction of what decks cost from like the big players. Because I'm not going to spend $600 for a car audio deck. I'm just not, right? For a screen I barely even touch, But $100, sponsor video, absolutely. The output voltage is never all that great, but it's different for every deck, I would always, before you buy a car stereo, check out channels that test this kind of stuff. Like, oh man, there's a couple I've referenced before. I don't remember what it is, but they've done a lot of tests on amplifiers, and they can tell you real world. Like we all know car audio, if especially when we're talking amplifiers, if it's not CEA compliant, those numbers really don't mean anything. An amp could say 5,000 watts, and it may only put out a fraction of that. So doesn't mean it's garbage. It just means that, hey, buyer beware. Know what you're buying, and know how to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure. Don't go out and be like, don't be like a little kid and be like, whoa, look at this amplifier, puts out 5,000 watts for $100. Does it? Too good to be true. Remember that saying? So, but just do a little research. A good rule of thumb is if you don't have a CEA compliant amp and it's, a really affordable amp like Power Acoustic, they sponsored me. I mean, their amps, max wattage, figure on about a third of that, right? CEA compliant, that's, you're getting what they tell you, So, but anyway, this, I'd ask him, how did he test that voltage? He got 4 new 5-channel amp, 4 new speakers, tweeters. He decided to add the LC2i before the amp to tackle the hiss from speakers. That's not what I mentioned in the video. This was not something to suppress noise in your system. If you're getting hiss or noise through your system, it's not coming from, there's nothing you can add to it that's going to remove that. That indicates a problem. Either that's a problem with your amp, your gains are too high, you haven't tuned something correctly, or your deck is a piece of shit. That does happen. I have an affordable Android deck that has the hiss. It just, you have to live with it. Was never reviewed this to tell you this is how you fix that. This is I don't know where he got that information. So anyway, another comment here is pretty good here. PB Stein Machine said people hate Invicta because they're new and more or less exposed the whole watch collector world to the fact that Swiss made the doesn't really have the what do you say here? Swiss made doesn't really have the allure or the luxury that they want to have. By not sorry, it's a little bit of the word is a little weird. By not having the fact that China makes a whole lot of lower price Swiss watches, and Invicta isn't shy about globalizing us. So he's right. So the whole term Swiss made was something that back in the day, before modern machining, it really meant something when you bought a watch. If a watch said Swiss made, you were getting a level of, it almost meant luxury back in the day. You were getting a level of quality. That's not the case anymore. The term Swiss made has been so watered down that it doesn't take much for a company to be able to put a Swiss made designation on their watch. It is really meaningless. And it's meaningless, more importantly, because modern machining out of China has gotten so good that there's really no reason to have a watch made in Switzerland anymore. There's really no reason that that separates a Swiss made watch from a Chinese made watch. And that's why you see a lot of Chinese made watches because they know people are so like used to this Swiss made nonsense that companies will a lot of times, like Invicta, will say, "Hey, we want people to think these watches are on that level of quality," which they are. But in order to convince them, they have the Swiss made on them, and so they have movements like Ronda, which may use Swiss parts. They may be Swiss made movements. A watch is made in a third world or like China or like a different country. Low labor rates. Let's just say China, because I don't remember where Invictas are made, but probably China. Made in China, super cheap labor rates, super affordable, amazing quality, but people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's Chinese." You slap Swiss made on it, they're like, "Oh, it's made in Switzerland," because people just don't bother to research anything. So that's, I think, in my opinion, why, um, you know, kind of about the Swiss made thing, but also like why people hate the brand. I shouldn't say people. Why some people hate the brand, decent number, right? Is mainly because Invicta, in my opinion, has kind of like showed the watch world that you don't have to spend a lot of money for an amazing quality watch. I think what really hurt Invicta was that they're a volume company, right? They're not a company who's selling a few watches here. They are about volume, and I guess Rolex is really about volume too. Rolex I think is the number one sold watch in the world, which is so surprising to me. But it's just I won't say anything. So, but anyway, Invicta is about building repeat customers. But I think what really, and this is just my opinion, but I think what really hurt the Invicta brand is Home Shopping Network. They have these people on there who, yeah, they may wear an Invicta once in a while. I think Invicta Ryan probably wears Invictas often, but that might be part of his contract. I don't know. But when I see like some of the gals on there reviewing, putting on this huge 60 millimeter watch and trying to hard sell you and say things like this is a luxury. It's luxury. It's not a luxury brand. Do I think that Invicta watch, the quality isn't on par with luxury brand? I wouldn't say it's on par, but it's awfully close. To the normal person, you're not going to pick it up. The old argument I make all the time is when people pick up an Invicta and a Rolex. I'm not saying certain. I'm not saying every Invicta, but if you pick up like a reserve level, just to pick a watch, reserve level Venom, way different watch, huge, totally nothing like one another. If you look at just the quality, the finishing, the fit, the scratch resistant crystal, the movement. Again, Rolex watch, you're going to have a more refined movement, more finishing, more care in that process, that assembly. Invicta, not as much, but do they both work? And are they both? The argument is, oh, the Rolex going to last you 10 times longer, or whatever number they pull out of their ass. This is not the case. You'd have good luck and bad luck with anything. And let's face it, if you're going to service a watch to the tune of $600 a year, if you do that with any watch, you're probably increasing the chances of that watch lasting a really long time. People do that with the Rolex watches because they don't want to lose out on possibly getting their money back. People who really can afford things buy things and they're like, I'm just going to burn it into the ground. Like, I'm not getting my watches serviced. I wear them till they break. And when they break, they just become conversation pieces, or they still get worn, broken. You know, fortunately, I don't really have. I don't think any broken watches. Maybe one, but again, that's kind of why I think Invicta. The watch luxury world doesn't like the brand because people, when they actually hold these watches side by side, they see, wow, this is incredible. Why am I paying $20,000 for this other brand? It really comes back to you're paying a lot for that name. You're paying a lot for the brand name, regardless of what people want to believe. I mean, it's just, and if you're a guy who spent 20,000 on a watch, people don't like to admit being wrong, so they have to like come up with reasons on why it's just so much better. Rationalize their own, because most people with a common sense and critical thinking skills are gonna be like, what makes this watch so special that you felt the need to spend 20,000? Oh, I know, so you can brag about it on your wrist. That's really what it comes down to. But always buy what makes you happy. That makes you happy, you should buy it. Absolutely. But anyway, but as far as Invicta, it's too late now for them to really change their image. I think they're still in the home shopping network. They're still having the hard sell the gal wearing this giant watch, which I mean, she really likes it. And I don't know this to be fact, but I don't know if Kennedy, I think her name is. I don't know if she's wearing that like day to day. Maybe she is, but it's hard for me to take that serious. Not the size of the watch, just her, just the way it comes across. We all know home shopping networks are really trying to hype you up. That's kind of like how they sell things, and it must work because it's been going on for years and years and years. But I think it definitely hurts the brand, and I'm starting to like the brands I'm working with, like Nubeo and RGMT. You're going to see pricing drop on RGMT's website and start to become more realistic because they're doing that huge MSRP like Invicta, and then you can buy it on Shop HQ for $279. And people were watching my channel like, I would buy it, but it's too expensive. I'll wait to find it elsewhere because it's a good product, it's a good watch. But that kind of behavior, that kind of manipulation in price, that turns people off. And I think brands should, like Aragon, is extremely smart in their pricing structure. They pick a price. Here's what it is. And then it goes on sale. It goes on sale a little bit. They don't have affiliates, which I think is they did, until they got to that point. But regardless, I think are smarter with their pricing structure, and I hope that brands. These are not luxury. Luxury is a facade. When they say luxury, people think luxury means high quality, and it can, but it doesn't mean luxury is light years ahead of affordable quality, right? I don't mean low quality. I mean affordable watches, affordable handbags, affordable clothing. Doesn't mean it's garbage. It doesn't mean the Gucci shirt is amazing quality compared to the Hanes $99 999 T, right? What are you paying for? All right. So that's my thoughts on that. All right, next one here. Here's a great one. Adapted solar power. I bought a Raymond Will Freelancer and paid $1,800. A year later, the same watch went down and is currently selling for $900. I only buy watches between $1 and $500 now. I'm much happier. I don't have to worry about losing money. And here is exactly my point. Making the statement, I don't have to worry about losing money. That was obviously something in the back of his mind when he bought the watch. And if you're buying things based on whether or not I will lose money, you probably shouldn't buy them. There are some big ticket items in this world. Buying a home, you want to make sure you buy in an area where you're not going to, if you're going to put your life savings into something, and buying a home is a huge commitment. You want to make sure that if something changes in your life, that you're not going to like lose half of your, half of the house got to depreciate by half. That, a lot. I don't know real estate, but I would think that doesn't happen very often. But when buying a watch, it should be something you're like, hey, I want, like when guys talk about Rolex, like, oh, it's my grail watch. It's something I wanted to get all my whole life, and it's an achievement. It's like, yeah, then they're worried about selling it, what they can get back for it, and they're worried about the market. It's like, no, dude, you're really, you're buying it, wear it, brag about it for a while, and then you're hoping to flip it and get rid of it. And about more power to anybody who can buy a watch and sell it for more to some sucker. Just because you buy a luxury brand doesn't mean it's going to appreciate. This is a perfect example of that. And this can be said for many, many luxury brands out there, right? People want new. So if Rolex, and I'm not saying that you may not make money due to inflation. Inflation is different, is kind of a different argument for why something may cost more. If you buy a gold Rolex back in the 70s, I don't know, let's just say, pick a number, $1,000, whatever it may have cost. and then now you can sell it for 5. It didn't appreciate. The price of gold went up. The watch is more because in order for you to buy a new one now, it's a lot more due to inflation, right? And so if you look at a Rolex watch, if a solid gold Rolex watch cost $1,000 in the 70s or 80s, and now it costs 1,500, good luck trying to sell that, right? Rolex watches constantly keep selling because the price keeps getting driven up and up and up and up and up, which forces the used watches up and up and up, right? There's a desire for them. People want them. They want that luxury vibe on their wrist. And as long as people are crazy enough to pay it, people will buy it. But things change, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. One guy said, this is about the he says, Pelgio brand crocodile wallet. Hopefully it's legit. He bought one of these. I reviewed the genuine Cobra Skin wallet. That is the best wallet I've ever owned. I still have the wallet. It's fraying a little bit on some of the seams, but man, it's been like, I don't know, 6 years. Best wallet ever. If you want a wallet that lasts, I tell you, my Cobra Skin wallet has lasted longer than any leather wallet I've ever had. I think you'd be very happy with that wallet. He's like, hopefully it's legit. It's like, why would you think it's not legit? Listen, I have a 5 digital. Here's another one here. Calmar 917. Listen, I have a 5-digit sub, meaning sub error, that I got in 05, and a BB58 and a few others. I say this is a great watch for the value. I get what you're enjoying, and if you cannot get a sub Rolex but want one, I agree with this guy on the watch. Saint Martin or even other controversial this guy wrote this terrible Ocean Rover. There's anything wrong with it. Super Clone's a different story though. All right, so again, he's making the assumption that you buy a Ocean Rover or a Saint Martin if you can't get you can't get the Rolex. That's what you really want. Absolutely not, man. Like I said, you want a Rolex. It's not unobtainable. You can get one. You have to. I will never buy one. It has nothing to do with whether I can get one or not. But I do appreciate saying Saint Martin is a great watch. It really is. But Super Clone is a different story. Yeah, it's a different story because it's evidence that you can pay $400 for Super Clone and get a watch that's extremely difficult to tell from the real $10,000 watch. Again, if it's that easy to replicate, it wasn't that special in the first place. I thought they're so perfect. They're such a great watch. How can it be made for $400 or $500 then? Ridiculous. All right. Hang on, I get a little sip of some here. This guy didn't make any sense. This is on the Raspberry Rolex homage I did the other day. It's on my eye. I'd like to see you get one with a Folex box just to see if the video was monetized. It would be cool. I don't know what he means. The video is monetized. I don't even understand the comment. Joseph Margula said, why is Shop HQ showing Invicta less and less? Thank you. Keep up the good work. I don't know. I have no idea. But, I think maybe, if I have to guess, why is Shop HQ showing Invicta less and less? I think because, there's a point at which people, and I'm kind of there, but I'm always going to buy an Invicta here and there, right? But in the beginning, it was like Invicta, 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 Invicta. And my tastes have not changed. I didn't become more refined like a lot of folks said I would. I love the Invicta brand. It's a great brand watch. I think anybody who doesn't have a huge collection should definitely get some, right? But, when you have 50, 60, I don't even know how many I have. There's a point at which I'm just kind of like, all right, I have a lot of Invictus. You just want to get the same thing over and over again. There's only so much they can do. I mean, they do an amazing job of creating these unique, different timepieces. But I don't love every Invictus. Some are just not my style, right? Or some I don't want to rational. Like the Buzzsaw is one I wouldn't want to have in my collection. But do I want to spend 150 on a Buzzsaw or do I want to, get something else? I mean, how many 300 watches that most of them don't get wrist time anyway. So there's a point at which I think anybody who collects Invicta will kind of slow down and maybe start to, get into different brands and stuff. And fortunately for me, I get to work with companies, which helps feed the addiction. It's a win-win for both parties. But I don't know what the sales are like on Shop HQ, but I also feel the other factor is Invicta stores. They're selling, link in description, directly to consumer. And Shop HQ, although they have some great deals at times, they can't touch the pricing with the amazing deals you're gonna get with Shop or with Invicta Store. So I think that's a factor too. Um, this guy, I don't know what he means here. He says Zillsbury says, yes, I got my Sterling watch original with green strap. The leather band feels like rigor mortis. I don't know what rigor mortis feels like. So I think he means really stiff. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't even know how to respond to somebody who got on YouTube to complain about a leather strap. It's like, dude, wear it's leather, wear it, it'll break in. You ever get a new pair of shoes as a kid? Mom, they're tight. And then 3 weeks later, how you like your shoes? Oh, they're good. Oh man. Um, so this idiot here. Let me comment on this. He says Cheryl C00007. I feel like they sent you nice jackets. This is about David Outerwear, a very controversial brand. I feel like they sent you nice jackets because they knew you were advertising for them. But the jacket I received was nothing like the jacket that was pictured. Okay, I doubt that because these are super affordable jackets, right? These jackets they sent me, when I look at the quality of these $100 vegan leather pleather jackets, they feel like any other leather pleather jacket I got at Big K back in the day when they had just like a little section there. They're a pleather leather jacket. They're basic. They're fine, right? Do I think $100 for a pleather jacket is an amazing price? No, but if you go into any big box brick and mortar store, you're going to pay more for stuff like that. Go into Macy's and look at a pleather leather jacket if you can find one. I'm sure it's going to be over $100. So this company picks a price point, and as long as people are buying at that price point and happy, they're going to keep selling it. Here's the other argument too, right? All right, so let me just finish on this. So they sent me. So what did they custom make me a what I consider to be a standard pleather leather jacket? It's not amazing. It's not bad. There's nothing I can't. It's just it's just there, right? It's like anything else I get. I just don't really have any complaints about it. It's a nice jacket. This video was done several years ago. I still wear the jacket. I have like 50 jackets now, so I don't wear it every day, but doesn't get like abused nonstop. Maybe if I wore it nonstop, maybe I'd have a different story, but it's fine, right? And so, what does this guy think that they sent me some special jacket and then they sent him like something made of like glad bag material? I mean, I don't see this because I get people commenting saying, hey, I got their jacket. I'm really happy with it. So I don't get it. But anyway, he says, I tried, he said, if like the jacket, he said, it was nothing like the jacket I pictured. And I knew if I tried to get my money back, I would probably not have gotten it back. So you're not happy with the jacket, and you just assume that I'm going to try to get my money back, and I'm just not going to try because to me that's nonsense. To me, it's like you're over embellishing what you didn't like about the jacket, so you're keeping it anyway. You just want to complain. So I don't know if I get something I don't like, I return it. So he said I'd be fighting for it back. I don't. You don't even know. So I don't. People are just so lazy. Um, he said I'm going to go to every social media site and let them know the company's fake. How's the company fake? They sent you a jacket. You're just not happy with it. You're going to spend all this time going to other social media sites to bash this company, but you didn't even want to take 10 minutes out of your day to try to find out if you can get a refund or not. It's just unbelievable. I've seen their website, and I feel like most of them was from people who were paid. Well, one, I wasn't paid to view those jackets. So if somebody, I really don't see what the difference is. If a company sends me something and doesn't pay me, right? I'm not getting paid to do a video, and they say, here, tell us what you think of this jacket. No strings attached. And I review the jacket, and I personally feel it's a decent jacket, and I like it, and I can't find anything negative to say about it. Then I just don't understand the thought process here, right? Like these people make assumptions that just aren't true. I'm not paid by brands to this video. YouTube pays on ad revenue. So if you see a jacket and you hate David Outerwear, then you don't watch the video, and I won't make the thousandths of a cent per view for your view. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. So anyway, he says, I feel he says, I feel like most of them are from people who are paid to say nice things about them. I'll be straight up, like I always am. I have never been approached by a company all those years to say, hey, we want you to do a review, but only say nice things about this. Never, ever. I would never even commit to something like that. And companies wouldn't even do that. Anyway, he said there was a few real comments. No, he's considering real comments that align with his opinion. So anything that doesn't align, this is our human race. Anything that doesn't align with their opinions is a lie and fake, right? That's the world we're living in. No truth to anything but your own opinions. Fuck off. All right, Adrian, he said, ha, oh, it's too big, it's too small, it's too heavy, it doesn't have sapphire, a bracelet pulled my hair, my arm, doesn't have leather strap, does have one, he laughed my off. Whenever I see people commenting about why they won't buy a particular watch, first world problems. So true. A bunch of whiners. I mean, people complain about everything. This watch pulls the hair of my wrist. Well, shave your fucking wrist. Like, I don't know what to tell you. People are a bunch of whiny little bitches nowadays. Man, the fuck up. You don't like something, don't buy it. Don't wear it. Now, if you go out to eat, now I'm a big complainer when it comes to food. If I spend my money on food and it's not what the company says I was going to get, or if it's crummy, I will complain about it. And by all means, you should complain about it. If you have a thought about a product, you should take that up with the manufacturer, not me. I'm not the guy. I'm giving you my opinion on the product. You can't tell me I'm wrong with my opinion. This is my opinion. Bunch of. All right, so another guy said, here, I get the hat right here. This guy, he wasn't really being mean, but this is the comments on people. So this is the hat Spinnaker sent me. It came with their beluga whale. This is a huge hat. I'm not gonna. I mean, it's huge, right? Spinnaker they didn't knock it out of the park with this one. You have to have a giant dome for this. And my I don't have a big head, right? One of my dumb ex girlfriends has a huge head. This would probably be too small for her. Her head's so friggin' big, and not just from her fucking ego, but like physically a huge head. Like this would probably not fit her. I like to see it though. But anyway, all right. So he just said you definitely rock the hat. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So basically, like on the sly insult, right? Right. It wasn't being rude. I mean, but I was kind of like, dude, like, don't don't. I hate when people like try to throw an insult and then be like, oh, sorry, I couldn't resist, then apologize for it. It's like, didn't your I'm sorry if you don't have nice parents, but didn't your parents ever teach you if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? Like we can all have our opinions, but don't you want to, when you give an opinion, kind of take somebody's feelings into account before you make the opinion? You know, there are people who wear hats that are big like this. You know, I mean, all joking aside, some people wear huge baggy clothes. Like that's not my style. This doesn't fit my head, but that doesn't mean you won't like it. So, you know, here, let me come back to this. Well, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry, couldn't resist. It's like, dude, like, if you don't have anything nice to say or constructive, don't say anything at all. But anyway, this is a very light comment compared to some of the other ones. But anyway, all right. One guy said Jeffrey uh, Bits Bits 4006 Sterling watch, old school Sterling watch. He said, "Are you getting free watches with a smiley face laughing?" Um, I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. Like, is that? I don't see how that's funny. Like he got me. Like, oh, you get free watches? Like, I just don't understand this stupid comment. As mentioned in the video, I collaborated with Sterling. They sent me like I don't know 10 or 12 watches. I reviewed them. That was the end of it. You got me. Let me just. I got another comment here. Andy Fong just said, "Do you have any new leather jackets to recommend?" Um, First, I'd ask you, did you check out all the other reviews on leather jackets? I have reviewed, I think, over 10 on this channel. So if you haven't checked out all those, I'd start there. But I have been looking. I'm always seeing a cool leather jacket. I've seen a couple, but I'm out of closet space. But maybe after the holiday season, I might pick up another one. One jacket I really want is something snakeskin. Now I'm not gonna. You can get snakeskin from like I believe from like Indonesia. Some of these you can get them on Etsy and stuff. I really want one, but I don't want to spend $800 on it. I want my lift kit first, and I have 40 leather jackets that barely get any back time. We'll call it, or body time. So You know, but I did order last night a pleather leather jacket with snakeskin, like a snakeskin print. Hopefully, it doesn't look cheesy. If it does, I'll send it back. But I mean, I think right now there's kind of a kind of an increase in people searching for snakeskin leather because of the. I think I forget which one, Fast X. I think Jason Momoa wore some exotic leather in that movie, and he looks fucking cool as fuck. Subjective, of course, but I think he does, and I've always liked that kind of look. And he's wearing exactly the kind of snakeskin jackets, Python, that I've wanted. I will get one eventually, but when I don't want to drop $800 right now for one. And there's always that risk when you buy it too. Like, hopefully when they say, the measurements, I've had plenty of times where they say, oh, this will fit a 38 to 40, and then you get it, it's too big. So I always downsize, and sometimes that can be like I have jackets that were smalls that fit me perfect, and other ones that are a little snug. You can still wear a small jacket, so I always kind of go with a small, even if I'm a little restricted in it. But I will get one of those, and there is a couple other ones I got my eye on, but nothing at the moment, man. So just I don't know, Andy. Check out the other videos. I'm not sure if you've checked all those videos out. Let me just see here. Bear with me 1 second. I just want to see if I have, and I think every jacket is on this playlist, but I need to go through here and just double check. Um, See if I can find it. Full playlist. Where is my playlist here? Oh, I can't find this. I know I have a leather jacket playlist. Why it's not? Oh, here it is. Um, Sorry, folks. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. All right, there's my playlist with every leather jacket that I review to the best of my knowledge. Um, yeah, there you go, man. So check those out. They'll kind of keep you occupied till the next leather jacket video. All right, so one guy said here, Adrian, he said again, got my Spinnaker hole. He said just awesome wrist presence, heft, legibility, love it. Don't need a Nautilus now. I think he's joking because I don't think anybody who I don't think anybody would want a Nautilus and then say, "Oh, I got this $300 Spinnaker." I don't. Anybody who's serious about buying a Nautilus, you don't buy a Nautilus because you're just like, "Oh, I want this watch because of the way it looks and because of I want to watch it tell time." You buy a Nautilus because you are trying to be flashy. You're trying to rock a status symbol on your wrist. You're spending a guy isn't serious about buying a Nautilus at $100,000 and then buy a $3 Spinnaker and be like, oh man, that's all I needed. Like that's just so I think he's just kidding. But so another guy, yada yada yada, said great insight for any branding perspectives. I don't know anything about Invicta Watches, but seeing Invicta South Park and Beavis unboxing, I'm quite amazed by the quality and attention to detail. The cartoon theme collection is kind of my kind of watch, and yeah, it's not for everyone. At the end of the day, do some research and get some real understanding does help a lot before deciding to buy from them and hate them later. Thanks for sharing your views. Absolutely. There's a guy who with a critical thinking, a brain in his head. I'm gonna do a little research and I'm gonna look what people have to say and make an educated decision, a man's a human being's decision on what you should buy. And then if you like it, great. If you don't, I always say try to buy somewhere where you can return it. I think you'll like it regardless. Yeah, I'm not into the Beavis and Butthead thing. I like the show. I watch a show in South Park, same thing, nothing against it, but I'm not one. I'm not like a big fan. Like Star Wars, love the movies are great, but I don't have the posters. I don't, I don't have a lightsaber. I'm not dressing up for Halloween. It's just not my thing. One guy said, Joe Jory Non said, thanks, learning a lot. So I watch your videos. Now I know why I'm loving Invicta Watches already at 5. Absolutely. Use my man. If you guys find value in my videos, please use my links in the description. I can't tell you number of times people are like, "Man, thank you for your help. Thanks for commenting. Went and bought the watch. Oh, I forgot to use your coupon. Oh, I forgot to use your link." That's it. In free way you can pay back. I'm a commission affiliate with all these places, so um, you know, Please use the link if you find value in what I do. I'd appreciate it. Um, let's see here. One guy bought this is an older video, Alexander watch. They collaborated with me as well. Just bought a minimalist dress watch, the Alexander Heroic yellow gold case, silver sundial with black strap. I love it. Absolutely, man. I had that. I think I had that watch, and it was a fine watch. Um, this guy's comment I really appreciate. This is Trevor's Step Poo. He said Invicta watches have similar cyclopses, bezels, dial colors. There's nothing special about Rolex watches. They both look the same. He has both Rolex and Invicta. There is a real honest Rolex owner. That's the facts right there. There is a difference in quality. There is a difference, but it is minimal. It's not night and day like these watch knuckleheads on YouTube that unfortunately are getting recommended nonstop for the average working guy looking to buy a watch. These are the guys who are getting recommended on YouTube, because they're big time watch channels. And unfortunately, the YouTube algorithm pushes a lot of this nonsense content. You want content. Normal people looking for normal watches want content like me, right? Because I'm the one giving you guys the honest, everyday guy's opinion on this stuff, compared to a lot of these insanely priced brands, which you're just getting ripped off. In my opinion, it's as simple as that. But if it does make you happy, you should get ripped off, because that's ultimately what it's about. Let's see here. All right, so this one here is about Soundstorm car amplifiers. This is a video I did. It was a negative video on the SSL 5000. When I got this amplifier, I paid my own. I bought two of these amps. I bought 4 amps total, two for each cars. I redid the whole systems, two Pioneer decks, made them exactly the same. This is years ago. And one of the amps failed. So this guy says, too bad the amp doesn't get nearly what it's rated. Shit is junk. All right, so here's another example of somebody claiming a product is junk. If you want to claim a product is junk because you had a bad experience with it, that's something different than just stating that product. Now, I've had the Soundstorm amp, the replacement that they sent me in my Jag for years and years. It must be over 10 years now, and it's still, knock on wood, works fantastic. So it's not junk. I happened to get a bad one. The company took care of it. Fine. It's going to happen in life, right? But to say shit is junk is because it doesn't put out what it's rated for. It's still a great valued amp for what you're paying, right? So this amp right here, I think Big D Wiz is the guy I was trying to think of. He did a bench test on this amp, and although it doesn't put out 5,000 watts, it does put out 1,800 at 1 ohm RMS, which is real power, right? Which for the price is amazing. I don't remember what the price is, but I think it's in the $150 price range. That's incredible. I mean, that's a good value. That's slamming, right? Very good. I mean, it's not junk. He did reply back 10 days ago. He just said, is it bridgeable? And I'm just going to state, if it's at 1 ohm, it obviously is. This is where people should just, this guy can just ask what that means, rather than be like, is it 1 ohm? It's just like, is it bridgeable? Obviously it's bridgeable. If it's 1 ohm, if it's putting out 1,800 watts at 1 ohm, it's obviously bridgeable. But all right. All right. Don't like the blue clock directional on the bezel. It's too big, unproportional. This is on a 70 millimeter Sea Hunter, by the way. We're talking about proportions. I just said nobody asked you for your opinion. Don't like it, don't buy it. One guy said next is, I did a review on a Magellan watch, and he said next is hair and makeup. I don't know what that means. Again, some kind of insult. I'm sorry that I take the time to comb my hair in the morning and try to look my best where I feel confident going out of the house. I'm sorry that you may roll out of bed and just throw on a ball cap and start your day with your wrinkled clothes. But to answer that question, I have done some hair care products, because we all suffer with different things. And, as we get older, it becomes hard to hold onto our hair. And I try to do everything I can to maintain what I have and try to make it look like I made a little bit of fucking effort when I got out of bed. So, what a knucklehead. One guy also commented in a different language. I don't know what he said. Uh, this was helpful. This is on the Pagani design watch I did. Pagani didn't put the movement on this watch, and he mentioned the caliper 2C10 is the movement. Excuse me, I stand corrected. They did mention the movement. I was not familiar with the movement. So the caliber 2C10 is a Chinese modified Seiko caliber, but for the most part, all Seiko, with the exception of some timing parts. So again, for those guys who think like, oh, it's not a Seiko NH35, this is in essence a Seiko NH30 or some kind of Seiko movement that's been slightly altered. So, I mean, it's going to be fine. All right. So, how long am I on this thing here? About an hour. I'm going to cut the video now. We didn't get a lot of people, probably because we're during the middle of the week. And I didn't really put a lot of keywords in the description, and my mouth is killing me from my tongue injury. I want to thank the guys who did pop in here. Again, I appreciate you guys staying and watching the video. Hopefully, folks will kind of catch these little fun kind of comment session on the rerun. I intend on doing more of these for my subscribers, so it's kind of fun to hear what people are saying and share that with you guys. If I don't get on again between now and Christmas, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and thank you for supporting Phat Kat Collections with your time and your views and your comments. It is appreciated. So take care of yourselves. If I can help in any way making a purchase, by all means reach out, but do try to do the research yourself. Remember, take the time, don't waste money. Have a good day, guys. Take care.